The rain fell in sheets as my family and I stood huddled on the porch of Birchwood Manor, a decrepit house that seemed to loom over us like a specter of the past. We had scraped together every penny we had to afford this place, desperate for a fresh start after years of financial struggle. But as we gazed upon the peeling paint and sagging roof, a sense of foreboding washed over us, whispering of secrets buried beneath its worn floorboards. With a nervous glance exchanged between my wife, Sarah, and our daughter, Emily, we took a tentative step forward, crossing the threshold into our new home. The air inside was heavy with the scent of mildew and neglect, but we pressed on, determined to make this house our own. As we began to explore the dusty corridors and cobweb-covered rooms, a sense of unease settled over us like a thick fog. It wasn't until we ventured into the backyard that we stumbled upon the true horror lurking within Birchwood Manor. The rain had finally let up as we made our way through the overgrown grass towards the back of the property. It was there, hidden beneath a thick canopy of trees, that we found it a forgotten burial ground, its weathered headstones standing like silent sentinels in the fading light. Sarah gasped in horror as she read the names etched into the crumbling stone, her fingers trembling as she traced the letters of those long-dead souls. Emily clung to my side, her eyes wide with fear as she took in the sight before us. But it wasn't just the graves that sent a shiver down my spine. It was the sense of malevolence that seemed to hang in the air, as if the spirits of the dead were watching us with cold, unseeing eyes. That night, as we lay in our beds, the house seemed to come alive with whispered voices and phantom footsteps. Sarah tossed and turned beside me, her sleep troubled by nightmares of the past. I rose from bed and made my way downstairs, the floorboards groaning beneath my weight as I navigated the darkened halls. It was then that I heard a soft, mournful wail that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. With a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, I followed the sound to the backyard, where the graves of Birchwood Manor lay silent beneath the light of the moon. But as I approached, I realized with growing horror that the headstones had changed, new names had appeared, etched into the stone with an otherworldly precision. Days turned into weeks, and still, the haunting of Birchwood Manor persisted. We tried to leave, to escape the grasp of whatever dark force held sway over this place, but each time we tried, we found ourselves drawn back, as if by some unseen hand. It was then that I began to research the history of the house, desperate for answers to the questions that plagued my mind. What I discovered chilled me to the bone. The land upon which Birchwood Manor stood had once been sacred ground, a burial site for the victims of a long-forgotten tragedy. Legend spoke of a curse placed upon the land by those who had been wronged, a curse that bound the souls of the dead to wander for eternity, trapped between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Determined to break the curse and free my family from the grip of Birchwood Manor, I ventured into the heart of the burial ground, armed with nothing but my courage and the knowledge I had gleaned from my research. As I stood before the crumbling headstones, I called out to the spirits that dwelled within, pleading for forgiveness and offering them peace in return. For a moment there was silence, and I feared that my efforts had been in vain. But then, slowly but surely, the air around me began to grow lighter, the oppressive weight of the curse lifting like a fog dissipating in the morning sun. I felt a sense of peace wash over me, as if the spirits had finally found release from their earthly torment. With a heavy heart, I turned to leave Birchwood Manor behind, knowing that our time there had come to an end. As we drove away from that accursed place, I glanced back at the old house one last time, a sense of sadness mingling with relief in my heart. For though Birchwood Manor would always hold a place in our memories, it was a chapter of our lives that we were glad to leave behind, a chapter best forgotten, like the whispered secrets of the dead.